Oh, a brisk good morning to you folks, and welcome to another edition of Horse Sense for Human. Music to my ears. Hi guys, spring's coming, and as you know, with spring coming, also comes the horse buying season. Especially for you beginners, I got some advice for you. So first of all, folks, before we even think about going out and purchasing a horse, it's very important that you get on the internet and that you look at thousands and thousands of horses for sale. Make sure you see them all, and all of the pretty ones you need to call on. Now, it doesn't matter if they're in California or if they're in Florida or you know, in Timbuktu, who knows, thousands of miles away. Don't worry about that. You go ahead and call them folks, and you ask them lots of questions because they love that. You know, things like when you call on the 3-year-old unbroke horse, make sure you ask them whether you can put your kids on it, because they love to answer that question. The ad stands for the farrier and stuff. Don't worry about that. Don't even read the ad. Just call them and ask them the questions. Because, you know, that one-on-one interaction on the phone with somebody in California, that's going to it's going to teach you a lot about the horse world, and you're going to definitely value every minute you've spent on the phone with these folks, as they are going to value the time that they spent with you. You're going to find a lot of horses available out there, and I want you guys to know, it's not so important the horse you buy as who you buy it from. That's right. So, I want you to know, you need to look for name droppers. Name droppers are important. If you're buying a horse from somebody and they can't drop at least a half dozen names of local pros and experts in the area and say that they know them and their buddies with them, you probably need to find another dealer. Name dropping is important. Now, it's not important that you go and research and talk to these people and make sure they actually do know the person you're buying the horse from and they actually have respect for them. That's not the important part. The important part is that they drop the proper names, okay? Because in the future, with your horse and in your horse career, you're going to want to be able to drop the right names too. Okay, so that includes the names of the people that they say they got the horse from, or they say they learned from, or you know how that goes. But make sure the right names to be dropped are in place with the purchase of any horse. Also, folks, it's important that you go to a horse trader, and I say that name in specific. Go to a horse trader because they have lots of horses to choose from. And it doesn't matter whether they're good horses or bad horses. What matters is that you have several to choose from and that you are sure to get out of there that day with a horse, okay? Because, you know, nobody wants to wait. We got to have that horse right now. So go to a horse trader that's got lots of horses. That way you don't have to worry about you know, researching things and doing traveling and going back and forth and looking at horses, you know. Save you all that. And don't worry about that horse trader if he's got a bad reputation. You know, if people around town are all talking about, yeah, you don't want to deal with this person or that person, don't you worry about that. What's important is that you get the horse today. Okay, that's very important. You get the horse right away, and then, you know, we'll worry about any lameness issues or chronic illnesses and stuff like that in the future. Oh yeah, and don't forget, bring a trailer with you. That's important too. You got to have the trailer with you. That way you're not forced to go home and think about it. That way that dealer knows that you came to buy a horse, and he's for sure not going to drop the price any on you. Because you're there to buy a horse. He knows that because you brought your trailer, and you want him to know that. You don't want him dropping the price on you because, you know, you've got other things to look at or other choices out there. So bring that trailer and make sure you're ready to make that spontaneous purchase and throw that sucker right there on the trailer and take it home that day. And along with who we buy our horse from, we also need to consider the age of the horse. Now, you're going to probably talk to some of them so-called experts out there, and you might know them and know them well and have respect for them and know that they've been successful in the industry. But when they try to tell you that you probably ought to get you a seasoned horse, one that's safe, one that's been around for a while and is tried and true, and you know the horse, it's got some years on it, and they're going to try to tell you that's probably the best horse for a beginner. But you know, you can do that. You can buy a seasoned horse from a responsible person if you want, but I find that takes a lot of the joy and challenge out of horse keeping. So I'm going to tell you this: you need to find the youngest, greenest horse you can, especially if you have kids. Because, you know, you want the kids to grow up together with the horse. They're going to have this special, wonderful sibling horsey people bond. And you can only get that if you've spent just as much time and money in your local emergency room as you have on, you know, trainers. So, and life is about balance. And there's just something therapeutic about sitting in an emergency room, explaining to an orthopedic surgeon about how the accident wasn't the horse's fault, and it wasn't your fault. It was just one of those things that happen. And the next thing to consider when you're purchasing your first horse is what breed of horse. Now, you can do research and you can go out and you know, check the internet and things like that, and research breeds and their abilities, their strengths, their weaknesses, their general temperaments, and you can get a good idea of what you want. But that's not really what I would recommend. What I think you really need to do is you need to think back to your childhood and when you were that horse crazy kid, and remember that Disney movie that was your favorite and you watched it 500 times. That's the breed of horse you want. You don't need to worry about whether it's going to do what you want it to do, or you know, whether or not you're going to be able to handle it. Just make sure that horse is the same kind of horse that you wanted when you were a kid, because that's the important thing, that we fulfill our childhood fantasies in our adulthood. And so another important aspect of horse buying is, of course, size and color. So for males, we've got it a little easy. Big and black. So you definitely need to buy the biggest horse that you can find, and I would really have no regard for training or age or anything. Just make sure it's big and most likely black, because you know, black is the color that we are definitely going to look the coolest on. So but for ladies, it's a little more difficult. If you have light hair, I would go with the Palomino. Of course, redheads, sorrels. If you have dark hair, we have plenty of shades of bay for you to choose from. So if you like to change your hair color, then obviously a flashy paint or a neutral white. Of course, ladies, on size, it needs to be, you know, kind of small. So that's it. That's our size and color chart. So obviously there's a lot to know about buying a horse, and hopefully some of these tips might be helpful. A couple of other things I want you to keep in mind when you're going out to get that first horse. One thing you need to remember is bloodlines are extremely important. Bloodlines are more important than conformation, health, attitude, intelligence. All of that is pretty irrelevant so long as you have some big expensive names on a piece of paper that you keep in a drawer. And the other thing that I want to touch on when getting your horse is the free horse. Okay, if in your quest to find your horse you come across that free horse, you better jump on it, folks, because people just don't normally give away good stuff, right? You got something that's valuable and something that's worth money, and you know, you're going to give it away. So I would jump on that, because they've got to be crazy, right, to give something like that away. So we don't want to look that gift horse in the mouth. You just take that gift horse. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm sure it's healthy, I'm sure it's sound, and I'm sure it's completely sane. I'm sure those people just wanted you and your kids to have a good horse. So disregard everything that I've taught you when it comes to that free horse. So there you go, folks. That's my view and my advice on buying your first horse. Feel free to listen to any of those experts and those respectable, successful people that are out there and giving you things to look for and giving you tips and help. Or you can listen to me. But I tell you right now, I'm so full of crap I have to fart out my ears. You guys have a good day.